Well, good afternoon. Thank you all. Wait, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you all for that very warm welcome. So first, I want to ask, how'd you guys like the movie? Awesome. And I want to ask if we have someone, or a person or two, who would like to volunteer a thought or something that they learned. I saw a young lady with a hand there. I think there's a microphone here. And there's another young lady here. So something that you learned from the film.
Hello, my name is Kersel Dowers from Tacoma Academy, the Nesby chapter. I was wondering, for each of the...
Oh, no. Not a question. No. Hold it for later, but a thought that you learned from the film. Okay.
I got you. Just by watching the movie, I could tell that even the cast members were very much in touch with the characters that they were playing in the roles. And you could see through the directing and the script writing that it was just well done. And it really made me learn a lot more about the hidden figures.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. And this young lady over here. Oh. Press the button.
I learned that even being a girl and also being a colored girl, that you have to work twice as hard as everyone else just to get half of the respect that other people will get.
Oh. Wow. Thank you.
Can she hear me?
Lady, ooh. Hello, hi. What's your name? Raina. And now that you have that information, what are you gonna do with it?
I'm gonna work incredibly hard in school and in ice skating so that I can get where I wanna go in life.
Yeah. Right, but and while you're doing that, because you know curveballs will be thrown at you, there will be obstacles, but we're not gonna focus on that like these women did not, right? We're gonna focus on finding solutions, right? God bless you.
So that's a great note for us to start on. So this film, we here at the White House are so excited about this project because of what it represents in terms of how we see people who are working in these fields portrayed and being realistic with the challenges that people face, but also the really cool and exciting aspects of what it was like to work at NASA during the space race. And so the way we're gonna run this panel today, I'm gonna ask a couple questions of our esteemed panel, and then we're gonna open it up at the end to hear more questions from you all. So as you are listening, make sure you're keeping in mind questions that you might have, okay? Sounds good? Okay, so I wanna start first with Margot. Margot, can you please tell us how you came across this amazing story?
So the thing about Hidden Figures is that these women, you know, they were hidden in my backyard, almost literally all this time. My dad is a research scientist. He's retired now. He worked at NASA. And he knew these women because he worked with them. I knew these women because he worked with them. You know, I'd see them in the grocery store, you know, whatever it is around town. But, you know, the fact is it took us all of this time. It took me all of this time, you know, who grew up seeing these women and knowing something of, you know, what they did, to really appreciate fully and to say, not only is this a story that we should kind of know in Hampton, Virginia, which is, you know, where the story takes place and where I grew up, but this is a story that all of us need to know because this is American history. You know, this is all of our history. These women and their legacy, we see it in John Glenn's successful flight. You know, we see it in, you know, the computers that we have and take for granted today. But, you know, I think it's about time that we recognize what they have given to all of us and to our country.
Thank you. And a follow-up question. So the title, Hidden Figures, I think most of us will assume that it represents the women that were not known, but is there another meaning behind this title?
Yeah, first of all, I can tell you that Hidden Figures was probably like the 5th title of this book. So writers take heart. But yeah, the Hidden Figures, when that title kind of snapped into place, the thing that was most amazing about it was the layers of meaning. It represents the women who were literally hidden in a separate office, in the West Area Computing Office. But it also refers to the work that they did, the numbers, you know. We see these amazing triumphs that get splashed all over the newspapers, and we celebrate them, we celebrate astronauts. You know, like Ted is saying, you know, we don't throw parades for mathematicians. I think that's a really great thing, but we should, because without those people, those great moments wouldn't have happened. So the Hidden Figures refers to the women and the work. And it also, I found out later, it actually happens to refer to, it's the name of an aptitude test for military pilots. Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
Later.
Awesome. So Ted, coming to you. So first, what prompted Fox to bring this story to the silver screen?
I think Fox saw the same thing everyone out here, all of you have seen, is that it's kind of an undeniable story. The very fact that we had women working in the space program that we knew nothing about is just extraordinary. And Fox was, you know, I remember Elizabeth Gabler, the president of Fox 2000, got this script on a flight back from Nicaragua, and she said yes before it landed. So, I mean, everyone felt the weight and the gravity and the importance of the story. And I've never seen anything move so fast. I've never seen so many yeses in my life, so.
So on that, I think it moved so fast that you didn't have the book yet as you were starting to make the film. Can you talk about
we
that?
did not have the book. We had 55 pages of Margot Lee Shetterly's book proposal. And in that 55 pages, it was obviously enough compelling information and storylines to start writing a script. And then we worked very closely with the brilliant minds at NASA who gave us all the research and the archival stuff, and we just kind of pieced it together. We started writing in Labor Day of last year, had a script by December. We were in pre-production in January. We were shooting in March.
Wow.
And we had our first screening in August. And somewhere in April, while we were in the middle of shooting, Margot sends me the novel. And I said, thanks for that, Margot. So, yes.
Awesome, thank you. So Mimi, I want to come to you next. So can you talk to us a little bit about what brought you personally and also Pharrell to be interested in being a part of this project?
Yeah, so Pharrell and I work
And
together.
grab the press button.
Pharrell and I work together. I'm his producing partner, and this is actually only our second film. And ideally, you always want to search for projects that not only will entertain, but will educate and inspire. And we met Donna Gelati, who optioned the book from Margot. I had a meeting with her, and I was like, oh, well, you know, what are you working on? And as soon as she starts telling me about the project, I think I might have gotten down on my knees because I was like, please, please, please let us be a part of this. Pharrell is from Virginia Beach, from Hampton Road. He's obsessed with NASA and space since he was a little boy. He loves women. So it just felt like a great project for us to be a part of, because I think for us, Pharrell also has a charity called From One Hand to Another, and has STEM programs that he does over the summertime in Virginia, and we were like, gosh, like if there's a way that we can make math look cool and just STEM careers, how awesome would that be? You don't get to see movies that, well, let's be very clear. This is probably, as far as I know, the first movie that has ever showed this level of female brilliance on the screen. And the fact that these were Black women, come on. So we're just honored, and all these amazing people that we got to work with, our amazing cast and crew, it's just been a project that has so much fairy dust on it, and we're very proud.
Awesome, thank you. So I want to move to the cast members next. So I think this film, as we think about the portrayals again of how these people are represented in terms of their everyday lives, but also their day-to-day work at NASA, I think there are some interesting things or themes that emerge that go beyond just the technical skills that they had to have to be able to succeed and to excel. And so for Taraji, as you were playing Katherine Johnson, I think a really prominent theme that emerged from her story also was just the courage that she had to display. And I wanted to ask you, what courage did you have to even display as you were even preparing to do a role and to play such an amazing figure in our history?
Oh, well, I had to have the courage to get over my fear of numbers. Seriously, because I grew up in a time where there was an understanding that math and science was just for boys. And then I get this script, and someone lied to me. You stole a dream from me. So it became my mission to do this story, and I wanted to meet Miss Katherine Johnson right away. And courage is just one of many words that describe this woman. You're talking about being the first woman in a room of all white men at a time when that was not popular. The courage to even walk in that room with your head held high. I don't think many people could do that. Just the fear of what are they gonna think of me, or what, will I make it? The courage just to walk in that room speaks to her fearlessness, speaks to her tenacity, speaks to her brilliance. At the end of the day, you couldn't take her mind from her. You could call her all kinds of names and belittle her efforts, but she had a brilliant mind that God gave her. And she walked in that. She did not complain. That's what I was telling the young lady. And this is what I want you all to understand. As humans, everybody got problems. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what gender you are. When you wake up every day, you wake up to obstacles to overcome just in that day. If you don't have the courage to look fear in the eyes and say, devil, you will not win, what you gonna do? Today, women, we have rights. We know we have rights, we can speak up. These women did not have those rights during then. They were all courageous. Every day she went in there and did her, well, she didn't complain that she had to go over, a half a mile to go to the bathroom. No one knew until she came in there one too many times late. But she never complained, and that is one thing I took away from playing this incredible woman. And I use that in my life. I don't complain about Hollywood. I don't say that they don't do this for black women and that and the third. I just keep working, because one day you look up and you're Golden Globe winner, you're Academy Award nominated, but I couldn't get there by complaining. So I really want you to understand that. Be courageous enough not to complain. How about that?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Octavia, I would like to come to you next. So I think Dorothy Vaughn's character is an amazing leader, and the leadership she displayed, but also it's a great depiction of the importance of teamwork as well. So can you talk about even your preparation for wanting to really portray this amazing woman, but also even the teamwork among the cast as you were creating this project?
Well, I think you hit on a very key thing, the hallmark of a great leader, and I think it's wonderful that it's apropos that we're at the White House. Yes. The hallmark of a great leader is to be a good team member, and to understand how to assess the talent that each team member contributes. And everyone has talents. And had her ego been in the way, she would not have pushed the most talented person for that position. So I think that speaks to being a good team member, but also understanding that one of the most beautiful things that I love about the movie is what Kevin's character says. We all get there together, or we don't get there at all. And Dorothy also says, progress, if one of us progresses, then we all progress. That's something that we should take into our lives every day. And I remember knowing and loving these. I met Janelle here at the White House a few years ago, and I met Taraji at an award show.
Never mind.
But I've been a fan of both of theirs, and there was immediate camaraderie, and we understood that we were serving something greater than ourselves. These women were pioneers, and they paved the way for us to do what, I mean, we're not working in STEM, but had it not been for pioneering women on the front lines working for us to have the agency that we do have today, having the, possessing the ability to speak in our democratic process, we wouldn't be doing what our heart desires. So I'm happy to be a part of this team, and I'm thrilled that you guys got to see our work today.
Wonderful, thank you. Janelle, coming to you next. So Mary Jackson, I think something that really came across for me in this film was that determination can breed perseverance. And can you touch on that in your portraying Mary Jackson, but also even in working and being a part of this film? Because I understand this is also your first major motion picture, correct?
Yes,
So-
it is. Yeah, it was. I had the honor of shooting Moonlight prior to
well.
this.
Yeah.
But I'm so honored and thankful to be able to portray such a woman like Miss Mary Jackson. She had such a broad worldview, and she saw the good and the great in people. And she didn't think about race and gender until someone else made it an obstacle or a barrier for her. And yes, she was going to fight for her right to have a piece of the American dream. She truly believed that everyone deserved equal opportunity and equal footing. And so when she went and petitioned the courts so she could take those advanced classes to become an engineer, she wasn't trying to be the first black woman as an engineer. She simply wanted to contribute and reach her full potential as a great mathematician and engineer. She knew she had the brains to do that. She simply didn't even do it for herself. She did it for the women around her and the human beings around her who have been told that they were not good enough because of race or gender or class. So for me, she was determined to prove to all of the naysayers and those who constantly try to oppress people within her community that we don't all have to take the same coordinates to reach the same destination.
That's right.
We can go around the system, we can petition, we can create a new way to solve a problem.
That's right.
And so I am so inspired by her story, and I found out later that she was determined to continue to help more women. She actually did something so selfless. She took, once she reached becoming an engineer, she decided that she was going to take a position in human resources. You know, that's a pay cut. And she hacked into the computers and found out that women and minorities were being paid significantly less than the white male counterparts there at NASA. And she, along with a couple of her colleagues, took this to NASA. And NASA is a progressive place, and they listened. And she was able to help advance the careers of more women and minorities in STEM at NASA.
Wow. Thank you so much. So Kevin, I'm going to ask you the last question, then we're going to open it up to our audience. So you play Al Harrison, who is actually a fictional character that's based on a few different people, correct? So I think for Al Harrison as the leader of the Space Task Group, he reflected a few different things for me. One, a leader who was so mission-driven that he was open to including diverse people. And we often talk about the importance of diversity as a driver of innovation. Diverse perspectives help bring more creative ideas and solutions to solving problems. So this is certainly reflected in the film. But I also think not only was he a mission-driven leader, but he was also willing to stand up for other people. So when we talked about the bathroom situation where he had to go and Catherine had to go a half a mile. So can you share your thoughts on this combination of a leader that's mission driven but also very much willing to stand up on behalf of others?
I'll try. I think when you think about leadership, what you're really kind of thinking about as a person, yes, I was tasked with getting, the president had a mandate that we get to the moon, and I was somehow tasked with that, all these very, very smart people. But I think the nature of leadership is taking people sometimes where they don't want to go. I think the nature of leadership is not leading the majority, but protecting the minority, the single voice. As I look at it, the young people, the idea that you want to be leaders, right? You don't want to be followers, you want to be leaders. There's room for all of us, but the nature of leadership is you're going to have to decide. Part of it is how does the best idea get to the top? And so you have to be a very strong person to allow the single voice, the voice that's coming from a place that's unexpected, to be heard and to be injected into the conversation and maybe be the solution. And leadership is something that we all respond to when we see it. It doesn't recognize race or border or culture. It's an old-fashioned term that you see on the sports field, which is the best man plays, the best idea wins. And I've been very fortunate in my career to do a variety of things, to play heroic people. Got to kiss Whitney Houston. I've got to do things, I've been able to play people that are smarter than myself. Al Harrison, smarter than me. I've been able to play people more heroic than perhaps I am, although I hope that I am. But the thing that I get to do in movies is probably a moment that you all experienced in the dark here, right? Bertolucci, a great film director, said, the movies, the dark, represent the last place where 500 people can sit in the dark and dream the same dream. So I know when you were watching this movie, there was a moment in time where you wanted that wall to come down, where you wanted that sign to come off the wall. And I knew in my heart that I got to do that in that movie. And it was very important for me to do it for myself. And I realized that when I was hitting it for everyone who was watching the film at that moment, that awful sign needed to come down, and what could we have possibly been thinking about as a nation, as a company, that sign could be there. And the last great move that Ted was able to give me, and I hope that you respond to, was the motion that when Catherine finally became the single moment where John Glenn trusted not a machine but a human being to go. And again, she was shut out of the room. And I got to be that guy, and I hope that I'm this person in the world, and I hope that you think of yourself as that person that would walk back out and hold up that little piece of paper that allowed her entrance into one of the great moments in her life. And so the movies let us be more heroic. They let us shine more. But if you're watching really closely, you can decide who you want to be in the world. And movies often, even though they're trivialized, can be that for you. Movies can be about the most important things we ever learn in our life. And Hidden Figures got to do that. You need to decide what kind of leader you're going to be. Are you going to let the cream get to the top? Or are you going to be small? Or are you going to be big? And I think that I think we have really a great chance here just looking out at the room. Thank you for watching the movie.
So I am being told that we no longer have time for Q&A, so my tremendous apologies for promising that and then having to renege on that. But I hope that you will join me again in thanking this amazing panel of just brilliant artists for doing this great project.
Take these?
You want to take that?
So, really quickly, so we are going to take a break, but it's not a real break because we don't want you to leave the room. So if you all would hang tight here for about 5 minutes, we are going to clear the stage, and then in a few minutes, Margot is going to come up and introduce the First Lady, and you guys are going to be in for a great treat. So thank you. So it's my pleasure to bring to the stage Ms. Margot Lee Shetterly.
Hello, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be with all of you here today. I cannot get over the fact that I am standing in the room where it happens, and it is full of women. The thing about this story about Hidden Figures, it isn't about the American dream. It is really about looking at all of these women and looking at everyone among us and making sure that we are lifting up that talent, that we are expanding what it means to be American. It's my pleasure today to introduce the First Lady of the United States. As we're standing here in this room and we're reflecting on 8 years, some of the most remarkable years that this House has ever seen, it is such a pleasure and such an honor to have had that First Lady, somebody who has brought inspiration and grace to our entire country, who has really expanded the idea of what it means to be American, who's somebody like me who is the descendant of slaves, people who built this house, and yet is living in this house. One of the most amazing lines for me in Hidden Figures, and so for me to have this book on the screen in this way, is if we're in America, we can live the impossible, but only if we imagine it. Only if we imagine it. This is a true story. It is not a work of fiction. So if anybody tries to tell you that this didn't happen, remind them, these women really did the work. And that is our First Lady as well. We have seen her over the last 8 years, helping and raising up military families, working families, tending to her garden, this beautiful garden here in this beautiful house, raising these gorgeous daughters that we've watched grow to beautiful young women right before her eyes, and right before our eyes. And as we take this moment of reflecting on the last 8 years and really looking forward in a moment of uncertainty and challenge perhaps over the coming times, I really hope that we look to the model of our First Lady and these women of Hidden Figures. When we are laid low by discrimination and bias and challenge, we have to go high as our talents will take us. And all we have to do is just look. Those roads lead to the White House, and they lead to the moon. So without further ado, I would like to bring to the stage the First Lady of the United States, Mrs. Michelle Obama. Thank you.
My goodness! Hey, everybody! What's going on? What have you all been doing? You've been hanging out a little bit? You guys sit down, rest yourselves. You guys look so good too. My goodness, what a good looking room. Well, let me get started because you all have had a pretty full day, I understand. Movie watching, conversation, hanging out with A-listers in the White House. Doesn't get much better than that, right? This makes math and science look pretty good, doesn't it? Just remember that. Remember that feeling as you work on those problem sets and in those labs. But I am so proud to be a part of showing this remarkable movie, Hidden Figures, here at the White House. This is where it belongs, right? Because if you want to talk about hidden figures, this is the room where a lot of that did happen, for sure. And we're so honored to have so many of the folks who were part of making this movie come to life. And I want to start by thanking one of those people, my introducer, Margot Lee Shetterly. Thank you so much, Margot, for telling this extraordinary story and for being such an extraordinary woman in your own right. Thank you for being here, and congratulations. I also want to thank a few people who you all have been spending a little time with. We got Taraji in the house. Taraji is so shy. You know, I keep telling her, girl, you got to come out of your shell. But Taraji has been all over the place, just doing her thing, and we are so glad that you are here with us today. Our girl, Janelle Monáe. This is like my little child here, my other one. Congratulations, you too are all over the place. I'm so proud of you. We have the great Octavia Spencer who is here. And she's just collecting all the stuff, all the accolades and all that. We are extremely proud of you and honored to have you back here with us. We have the amazing Kevin Costner, who is still as handsome as ever. I said that after my husband left, so he's not watching. Mimi is here as well, who is responsible for making this film a reality, and our director, Ted's in the house as well. And I know that there were many, many, many more people who played a part in making this film such a tremendous statement. Now, as you all saw, because you guys got to see the film, Hidden Figures is about one of our greatest American stories. How we did what for so long had seemed impossible. We put a man into space, and then we put a man on the moon. And we did this long before we had any of the advanced technologies that we have today. In fact, the smartphones that many of you have in your pockets right now and are holding up, because that's what you do. Right now, they have more computing power than the technology that NASA used to send astronauts into space back then. Just imagine that. You have more power at your fingertips today than they had to do what they did. So NASA had to rely on human computers, and they had to rely on geniuses like the women featured in this film. And that's really why I think this movie is so important, because it doesn't just celebrate what we achieved, but more importantly, how we achieved it. And this is something that I want you young people to understand. I want you to take this away. Because when you're faced with the overwhelming challenge is in life, and in this case it was winning the space race. It was a challenge that we were actually losing at first, the United States. We didn't shrink back from that challenge. I want to say that again, we did not shrink back from that challenge. And we didn't point fingers or cast blame. You know, what the United States did, what NASA did, what these amazing women did was that they got to work. You know, they just did the work. We sought out the very best minds in math and engineering at the time, people with diverse perspectives who could think in ways that no one had ever thought before. People like many of you in this room, the people like Katherine Johnson and Mary Jackson and Dorothy Vaughan. Now these women couldn't even drink from the same water fountain or use the same bathroom as many of their colleagues. And you all are too young to even imagine that. You read that in the history books, but that's how close this history is. These women their families are still breathing beings. And this happened in my lifetime and in many of your parents' and grandparents' lifetimes. And folks didn't always take these women seriously because they were black and also because they were women. But they didn't listen to those doubters. You understand, they did not listen to the haters, because they're always out there. They're out there even today. What they listened to was other voices, teachers who said that they had something special to offer. See, because in all the noise that you hear, there's always a voice of power and beauty and positivity. Each and every one of you, if you think about it, no matter what negativity you hear, there is always some ray of positive hope out there that you can choose to take in. These women did that. They listened to their families and their friends who said, you are worthy. And they told them, don't ever let anyone tell you that you are less than. So you have to choose to let those voices in to your life and block out those that don't reflect your reality. And each of these women decided to believe in herself and step up when her country needed her. And more than anything else, that is the great American story that is told in this film. That's why this film is so important. It's the story of how time and again, when we have tapped the talent and energy of all of our people, all of it. I say to my staff, as we move forward in life and we get access to these seats of power, these tables of power, I want you to look around and make sure there's diversity at the table. Because you don't come up with the right answer if everyone at the table looks the same and thinks the same and has the same experience. You never come up with the best answer. So when you get these seats at these tables of power, your obligation is to make sure the conversation is diverse. Because what we saw in this film is that when we pull together men and women, people of every background and color and faith, immigrants who've come here from across the globe to make America their home, when we bring all of that brain power to the table, anything is possible. Even going to the moon, right? That is how America won the space race in the 1960s. And as I said, that approach is just as important today. Because make no mistake about it, that's how we're going to fight all the challenges that we face on this planet, whether it's climate change or cancer or ending hunger, by seeking out the most talented, passionate, skilled people we can find and putting them to work regardless of what they look like or where they come from or how they pray or who they love. That's how we become the best America that we can be. And that is the lesson that I want you all to take from this movie. And if you take anything from this 8 years of us being in this White House, I want you to take that message with you. Particularly all the young people here today, all the young women here today. I want you to see that it does not matter what you look like. It doesn't matter how much money your parents have. None of that matters. Skin color, gender is the most ridiculous defining trait that we cling to. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you believe in your own potential. And that's for sure. You have to believe in you first. Because people will try to tear you down. I guarantee you that. There will never be a point at which people will 100% be cheering you on. So when you hit those barriers in life, all you have is your belief in yourself. That's all you have to fall back on. What also matters is how hard you're willing to work. Because none of this is easy. And it's not supposed to be. Because everybody could do it, right? How much work you want to put into the things you care about. President Obama works very hard. He is a serious man who takes his job seriously. And we are counting on you to be that in whatever you choose to be, whether it's science or math or dance or teaching, you name it. None of these men and women here achieved what they achieved without working hard at it and making some sacrifices and overcoming a lot of failure. So we want you to take that away. As Katherine Johnson has said, and these are her words, she said, stick with it. No matter the problem, it can be solved. And that's really good advice. Look at this 8 years. We were supposed to be hidden. People didn't even want to believe we were real. But here we are, 8 years later. But it's up to all of you, our young people, to continue that legacy. It's your turn now, all right? So you have to be prepared. You have to get a great education. You have to go to college. It is particularly important in this day and age. You have got to be educated. So take care of your business in high school. High school, middle school, these are stepping stones. It may feel like these times are important, but this is a dot on the map of your life. So don't take anything too seriously. Don't take anything to heart that happens now. This is nothing. The only problem is if you waste this time, if you squander this time, and then you shut the door on all the possibilities. Life gets great when you're my age, if you've gone to college. Today, I'm free. I'm really free because I have an education. Not because I'm first lady, because I have an education. So if you want to be like me, I want you all to focus in school. I want you to put down your phones a little bit more. And I want you to keep in mind the amazing women that were portrayed in this movie. This is a true gift. They didn't have movies like this when I was growing up. And I'm so grateful to all of you for bringing this film to life and bringing these women out of the shadows. Because it's not just important for the girls in this room to see it, but people all over the world to be reminded of how we got here as a country. We got here on the backs of those hidden figures, and we can never forget. So thank you all. Congratulations. We love you. All right.